Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Masters of the Universe Classics, Oo-Lar. Oo-Lar. So essentially what we have here is the original mini-comic version of He-Man. But of course in the Masters of the Universe Classics canon, they gave him the name Oo-Lar. However you see him, let's go ahead and take a look at this brand new figure. As you can see, he comes packaged in the standard Masters of the Universe Classics blister card packaging, but you'll also see some goodies in that package with him, such as a very cool interchangeable head and a mini comic behind the figure. When you flip that box around to the backside, we get a look at some of the other figures available in the Classics line, and we get a brand new bio for Oo-Lar. Alright, so this figure dates all the way back to the first mini-comic, He-Man and the Power Sword, that was included with the original He-Man action figure released all the way back in 1983. This is before the Filmation cartoon series, so no Prince Adam at that time. In this original mini-comic, He-Man was much more of a barbarian character. He was chosen by the goddess to wear this powerful armor, wield this axe, and keep Skeletor from combining the two halves of the Power Sword, which was essentially the key to Castle Grayskull. I think it's safe to say most people are more familiar with the Prince Adam version of the story since that was what was in the cartoon series, but there are many fans who have been long-time collectors of Masters of the Universe who have long wanted to see this particular version of He-Man in action figure form. And though they gave him the name Oo-Lar in the Classics line, to many collectors this here is the original Barbarian He-Man. This guy here is a really cool hybrid of pre-existing parts and some really nice brand new pieces. Of course, there's not a lot going on with this guy. He's practically naked since he's a barbarian character. But the things on him that are new are very new, things that we have not yet seen in this line. For instance, he now features the new naked forearms, meaning there's no wrist bracers, the shins with no boots on them, and, for the first time in this line, bare feet. That is pretty awesome. And look at the sculpt on those feet. Even underneath, it's sculpted in details. How cool is that? What a really great attention to detail on the part of the Four Horsemen. The loincloth piece that he's wearing on this figure is also a new one. You can see it kind of has like a rope sash tied around it, and it does have a bit more of a shaggier look to it there. And then, of course, we've got this brand new head sculpt. This is to kind of capture the more barbarian look that the character had in that mini-comic, so he has much longer, shaggier hair instead of that typical page boy haircut that we're more familiar with He-Man sporting. He's also got this really stern look on his face and this teeth-gritting pose. It's quite different from the first He-Man head sculpt that we got in this line and gives us yet another way to display the most powerful man in the universe. Alright, you guys, let's take a closer look at Oo-Lar. So obviously, he's pretty naked. There's not going to be a lot going on with the articulation that we haven't already seen, but he does have some new parts on here, so let's scope it out. He does have that longer hair. You'll notice that. Doesn't really hinder the articulation at all. You do notice it kind of rubs his back a little bit, but it's not bad, and it doesn't scrape or anything like that. The head still rotates just like it normally would, still bobbles up and down just a little bit. You got those same kind of ball joints at the shoulders. Arms can go outwards, forwards, and backwards. You can swivel at the bicep. You got your standard elbow bend. You still have your wrist swivels. Even though there's no bracers on him, we can still swivel the wrist, which is very nice. You got your torso articulation there, the ab crunch. You got your swivel at the waist. Your legs can go all the way outwards. They can go forwards and backwards. You can see the loincloth is soft enough that he can still sit down. He can still straddle Battle Cat if you wanted to. You got swivels at the upper thighs. You got your standard joint at the knees. There's no boots, which means no boot swivels. No swivels at the calves. And then we do just have your regular ankle joints. You can see there's no pin showing on the ankles, which is very nice since we got the bare feet there. And they're very, very stiff. I mean, look at that. Very stiff, which is awesome, so you don't have to worry about this guy having weak ankles and falling down. He's nice and sturdy, really good articulation, pretty much exactly what you would come to expect from a figure like this. And of course, removable head. You can easily pop that off. You can pop it back on, works just like the others, and that will definitely come in handy for the awesome head accessory that we're going to talk about in just a bit. So Oo-Lar does come with a few accessories to arm him up. First of all, straight out of the first few pages of the original mini-comic comes his spear. It's a very cool looking accessory. It's got a really great wood look on the handle, a nice kind of lighter brown shading that is used on the wrap at the top, and the blade portion, the little arrowhead on the top, looks like it's carved out of stone, has this really great kind of gritty paint job to it, lots of nicks and scrapes in it. Really great sculpt that is really brought out by a fantastic paint job. And it's a nice sturdy weapon, so it's not too soft or gummy. It can fit nicely in either one of his hands, and you can even get him wielding it in some nice two-handed poses. The second accessory he includes is this very cool gold and silver sword. Also comes right out of the pages of that mini-comic. It looks a lot like the sword that we see Teela wielding later on in that same issue. So you can use this with your Oo-Lar, or you can give it to your Teela so she can do some battle against Beastman. And then we come to arguably the greatest accessory in this line. It's an interchangeable head, and yes, we have seen many interchangeable heads in this lineup. They've all been cool. This one might be my favorite. The interchangeable head that he includes is an update to the original He-Man sculpt, except this time around, it is modeled after the vintage He-Man action figure, just updated with some modern sculpting. This is awesome. Now we can pop this head on the original He-Man figure that we got at the very beginning of this line, and it makes a huge difference to the character. I mean, seriously, take a look at these head sculpts side by side. Here you can see the difference between this new He-Man head sculpt compared to the one that came on the original Masters of the Universe Classics He-Man. And looking at them all side by side with Oo-Lar there, you can see that there's quite a sculpting difference between all three heads. When the original He-Man figure first came out at the beginning of the line, it was amazing. I was blown away by it because it was a way that we had never seen He-Man in action figure form before. But as this line has gone on, we've seen so many great sculpts, so many detailed figures, that it kind of made He-Man pale in comparison. So this new head sculpt that we've been given really does a lot to update the original He-Man figure and make him look so much better. I love this head sculpt. It actually makes him look so much more like He-Man, to the point that I didn't realize he was lacking this look until I saw this new head on that body. It's a fantastic sculpt. The paintwork is good. The tan is a little darker, it seems, than the original He-Man body, but it doesn't seem like it's too much to cause too bad of a difference between the tones of the skin there. And it's really cool because now with this head, we can mix and match all of the heads on the various He-Man bodies between all the different versions that we have, and you can come up with some very cool and very different looking He-Man action figures. That way you can display them however you desire. So, since we've got this new He-Man head, it's comparison time. Here's a look at the vintage He-Man action figure standing alongside our original Masters of the Universe Classics He-Man with that brand new head sculpt. How cool do these two look side by side? Now he looks like a true update of that vintage action figure. Now there is one more thing that this figure comes with, and that is a brand new mini-comic, which is the first part of a new 3-story arc. So it's the first issue of 3 brand new mini-comics, which is pretty cool knowing that we're going to get some more of these. And this thing is filled with gorgeous artwork by the very talented Axel Jimenez, who has been doing some really awesome stuff on some of the more recent Masters of the Universe Classics figures. Love the artwork. Really great to have a new mini-comic included with the figure. So there you go, my friends. There is a look at Oo-Lar, or the original Barbarian He-Man. Whether you choose to display him as a separate character from He-Man, or you want him to be the original He-Man, that's up to you. Regardless, this is an awesome action figure. This is the Club Eternia subscription exclusive figure, so the only way you're going to get this guy is if you subscribed for 2015. And if I must say, he is definitely up there with one of the best subscription exclusives we've received so far, probably aside from Shadow Weaver. This is a really great figure, and it's very cool seeing this original version of He-Man right out of the old mini-comics finally done in action figure form. and that included extra He-Man head is totally worth the price of admission right there. I'm in love with that head. That is becoming my new standard He-Man head on my toy shelf. So very special thanks to Mattel for providing me with this early sample to show off for all of you guys. Again, this particular figure is the Club Eternia subscription exclusive, so the only way you're going to be able to pick this guy up is if you subscribe for 2015. Happy hunting, my friends, and until next time.